So now we will be going on a submarine tour. That's gonna be really exciting. I'll take you with us so you can see what's inside the submarine. And apparently well, I believe this would be a replica of the submarine, but it was used in World War II. That's interesting. Let's go. We are now inside the submarine.
The deck here that we're standing on is a false deck. Now this deck is normally down below, it's normally lower down. You can see the deck at the front, it's part of the same system. So we would lower this down normally, but to make it nice and easy for people to get in here, we set it up like this. But sometimes when we're out at sea, this will be in this position, sometimes it will be in the lower position. And this mesh on the side will be stored down below. Below the lower deck there's a trench, and that could hold 2 torpedoes. The weapons that they carried on this type of submarine, originally they were all British weapons. And then in the 80s we start upgrading to newer weapons which were American. So the American weapons that we were carrying from 1981 onwards were the Mark 48 torpedo, which we still use today, the Harpoon missile, and we also carry what was known as the Mark 5 mine. So the Mark 48 torpedo can be fired against ships or submarines. It's got a speed of about 60 miles an hour and it has a range of over 20 miles. It's guided by wire, so when you fire it out the tube, it has a wire dispenser at the back. The torpedo leaves the tube trailing the wire to the dispenser, so the dispenser stays in the tube, feeding wire to the torpedo, so we can talk to it. We can guide it towards the target. So the target's over here and we're over here. We can fire a torpedo out, bring it round behind and come in from the other side. So it makes it hard for them to find us. And if we bring it in from behind, the ship's propellers are turning, they won't hear it coming. And the torpedo dives under the target and breaks it in half. That's an example. If we're firing against a submarine, so the enemy submarine's down here and we're up here, we fire the torpedo out, it will go out towards the target, and then it will spiral downwards until it finds and then charge after it. Yeah, it's quite a clever weapon. Down deep, so we're say 100 metres underwater, it would look a bit like this, but you've got some white lights, so you won't have those, they'll be red as well, and there'll be curtains. This is so that if we do have to come up to periscope depth, we use the periscopes at night, they can see outside. So half an hour before we come up to periscope depth, we turn all the red lights out, we go to black lighting, no lighting at all. It takes about 20 minutes for people's eyes to adjust to the darkness, so by the time we get up to periscope depth, everybody can see in the dark. So we have to learn the entire submarine in the dark. We have to know how to operate every single piece of equipment, every valve. We have to know what it does, where it's located. When you run these underwater, we need an air supply to run these, so we have to put the snorkel, and that sticks up above the surface of the ocean. We raise the exhaust, but it still stays underwater. We start the engines, and what the engines do is they start sucking the air out of the submarine. This creates a vacuum. Okay? That vacuum sucks air down the snorkel into the submarine, so we get fresh air coming down the snorkel. Where that enters the submarine is where the toilets are, but underneath. So the air comes along underneath the toilets, comes up the little hole in the deck back there, and then the air gets sucked into here. Down below there is the air conditioning, so the air conditioning will take some of the fresh air, pump it around the submarine. So a lot of things were quite well thought out. One thing that wasn't was in the passageway just back there was the fridge freezer for the food, right where the sewage system is. So when the sewage system floods the passageway with sewage, it floods the fridge freezer. That wasn't such a good thought out sort of proposition. If your snorkel washes, if a wave washes over the snorkel, it will shut to stop any water coming down. So then you'll start getting popping in your ears, that sort of thing. You get a vacuum drawing, and then the snorkel opens again. So that's a constant cycle when you're charging the batteries. When you're running the engines underwater, it's called snorting, that whole process. And that's where I burst my eardrums twice, just through that, because I had a cold, couldn't clear my sinuses and that. So yeah, it's very important to keep on the correct depth when you're running the engines.
That was amazing! I got a little bit claustrophobic, but then maybe because like the air smelled a little weird down there, but it was amazing. Tight, but amazing. Not for claustrophobic people or people who have a hard time breathing in close spaces. But other than that, the guide was just describing how operations went. I could never work in a submarine.
Nice to visit and not nice to live on.
Oh yeah, it was fun. What did you learn today?
I learned that they left their rubbish in the bottom of the ocean, but it was all dissolvable.
Yeah, so biodegradable rubbish they left at the bottom of the ocean, and it will disintegrate over time. But then the tour guide did say that they're not doing that now because yeah, the oceans are polluted enough, so they're just keeping rubbish inside the submarine.
Yep.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, of course I did.
That's good. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching another episode of Museums in Perth. You can check out the last museum that we went to. I think it was called the Roundhouse. That was fun as well. And we'll see you. Bye!